Hi guys, I'm sorry we're having technical problems. We're not going through to Facebook because it's blocking it for some reason, and I just tried to go on independently. So it looks like, and what I'm going to have to do is share the Facebook. You really do suck. I'm going to have to find the link and send it to you, and we'll have to continue the show on YouTube. I have to apologize for this, but it's a mixture of Facebook and YouTube. And it is, rather concerning, to say the least, that when you're trying to do a live show, that you get sabotaged by Restream and also Facebook. I mean, we know why Facebook does these things, because Facebook is they're liberals, and they're paid by George Soros. Just checking to see if we're going out on YouTube. And then when we can see that we are, I will share, and we will continue. Also, Facebook. There we go. Know what Facebook does. Okay, so let's share this, and then we will just get started, and we will just have to forego doing this on on Facebook tonight. So I apologize for that. If you've just joined us, you are watching the Xander Gibb Show. I am indeed a very angry Xander Gibb. And you can watch along with us on YouTube, because Facebook sucks and they are a bunch of fascists. Okie dokie. Right. I'm just sharing this on Facebook so people can know where we are at. As I said, welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. We don't have time now to do my introduction, but I will do that at the end. My soapbox. And this should be my first guest calling in. Let's hope that Skype doesn't fail us too. I am just trying to get to the script, because the teleprompter has gone down also now. But that's absolutely fine, because, being a professional, I'm just carrying on in the face of adversity in 2020. So my first guest is Dr. Kendra Becker. She's a dynamic intellectual physician specializing in cellular resilience. Your genetics do not define you, but can guide your healing through food and lifestyle. So welcome back to the show, Dr. Kendra. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, too. Thank you so much. I love being on your show, Xander.
I love having you. Apologize for the issues. We've had some technical issues tonight with Restream, etc. But we've got there in the end. I want to jump right in, because it's a kind of odd time for people right now, with it being the new year, that everybody wants to jump into a new diet, and it's not really diet that we should be doing, is it?
No, it's not at all.
So what do you think it's a quick fix ideology that's out there that people want, but it's a longer term process. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you saw it. I think it was U.S. News and World Report, some large mainstream media outlet. They posted the 5 best diets of 2019.
Right.
I don't know what they used as their survey litmus test, but the diets shook out kind of like this. Mediterranean diet was on top. The DASH diet, which is a cardiology diet, was number 2. I forget what number 3 was, and then the bottom of the barrel was the ketogenic diet. So I always have to laugh, because, I have to always remember that in conventional medical school, doctors get literally 1 1 hour of nutrition training in all of their years of medical school.
Right.
So I want to know who they're actually polling to get these statistics.
Absolutely, and I've actually found in my own experience, we talked before about a little bit about my situation. I am classified as clinically obese. I have diabetes, and 5 months ago I went on the keto diet, and it's really poo-pooed by medical professionals in this country because they're afraid, I think, of you coming off the medication. Which obviously I would never do without consulting a doctor. But in 5 months, I've lost nearly 50 pounds. I'm 1 point away from not being diabetic anymore. So I've proven them wrong. Now, I did something called raw keto, which I guess you wouldn't agree with, as in not doing the testing every day. I just ate the foods and just kind of did it that way.
Right. Well, I follow the keto diet as well. And, for me, I never really felt bad. Like, I don't have aches and pains or medical conditions. I've always taken care of myself. And my husband had done keto about a year before I tried it. And, he and I are kind of competitive with each other. And so I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And so my first time when I got into ketosis, I could not believe how good I felt.
Right.
Now, my sleep was better. And I felt like this veil had been lifted from, in front of me. I never realized it was even there. So, and as doctors, we're like really particular about lab values and things like that. So at that time, we were pretty meticulously testing ourselves for ketones. And
right.
What I was doing is balancing the amount of carbohydrates I was able to tolerate and still be in ketosis and this, that, and the other thing. So generally what works for me is like a 30-day cycle on, and then I'll cycle off like 3 or 4 days. I'll increase my carbohydrate intake, and then I'll go back into it. And now I know exactly how I feel when I'm in ketosis, so I don't do the testing like you. And I think
right.
That's something else that you have to remember is that every body is different, and you're really going for a better lifestyle, a better health outcome overall, and to just generally feel better. But,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, Xander?
No, I just said absolutely.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And for me, with any of these diets, the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, the paleo diet, whatever, you can do a really rotten version of it that's not healthy at all. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the keto diet made the bottom of the list, because people that are really lazy will not eat a lot of vegetables. They'll eat a ton of dairy. They'll use a lot of heavy cream and, use it as a justification to eat bacon, which
right.
is fine and perfectly appropriate on a ketogenic diet, but you gotta balance it like every other diet with a ton of vegetables. And that's what helps with the balance and the fiber uptake and driving your insulin and diabetes numbers down. You know that.
Absolutely. And I had to research what was the best diet for me, because I'd kind of hit rock bottom, and I knew that my diet was affecting my whole life, because I also have arthritis and various other conditions too that were being dictated by this. So once I never like to say this about any kind of eating plan, but keto has been the key to me believing for the first time that I can lose weight, be healthy, and not be hungry all the time. Because I'm not hungry on the keto diet and haven't been, since day one.
Yep, I completely agree. And in some cases, so in my house, we also do intermittent fasting. And that kind of came upon me because of the way I actually see my patients in my office. I never take a lunch break. I mean, I try, but generally my staff will schedule some sort of emergency visit in the half hour I would use for lunch. So I just said, forget it. I'm not going to schedule a lunch. I'm just going to drink water and tea, and I'll plan to eat my lunch at the end of my day at 2 or 3 o'clock.
Right.
And so the intermittent fasting for me has also been a huge game changer. And for my husband, who definitely is one of those people that could eat morning, noon, and night just because he very much enjoys eating, the intermittent fasting has really kind of put a little bit of a kibosh on that. So it's helped him tremendously too.
Absolutely, because when I first started doing it, I did it religiously. I only ate in the food groups that I was supposed to eat in. But as well as that, I was eating 3 meals a day. but I was actually finding I was eating when I wasn't hungry. So I don't have lunch now. I have 2 meals a day, but I'm finding everybody that I'm seeing that's on keto is finding their own way to do it. And as long as you stay within the food groups and don't eat the things that you're not supposed to eat, they're getting a modicum of, like a measure of success.
Oh, absolutely. So here's my theory. And this isn't scientific fact by any means. This is my own personal theory. We have three vices, as humans, as far as food goes.
Right.
It's starches, it's sugar, and dairy. Okay, or fat. Dairy just is a good example. So it's fat. So you notice on any one of these diets, like say a vegan diet, right? It's full of starches, but there's no fat, right? Look at a keto diet. It's full of fat, but there's no starches. So it's the combination of the starch, the fat, and the sugar that leads to all of our disease.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so whatever, like you said, whatever you do, however you find your own way, as long as you're not combining those three things in that lethal combination, really, whatever it is that works for you should be the right thing that works for you.
Absolutely.
Nobody passing judgment.
Because I find that everyone I talk to, everyone I tell about my weight loss and, me kind of, going into remission, like being 1 point away from remission, they say, oh, why don't you try this? This has worked for me. Well, why would I stop doing what's working for me and try what's working for you? I don't get the concept.
Exactly. It's so funny how people are about, now it's the first of the year, so everybody's going to get motivated for weight loss.
Right.
Everybody's going to buy into this program and this schedule and this whatever. When you said it right at the top of the segment, it's really about what works for you across your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And when it stops
true.
working for you, then you make a change. You don't make a change because somebody told you to.
No. And the interesting thing was, obviously, I'm monitored because I'm diabetic. Like the person I work with for my diabetes warned me, against this because they said that I would end up with a cholesterol problem. Well, I'm overweight, but I've never had a cholesterol problem. My cholesterol has dropped since I've been on this diet because I also have IBS, and so I can't fry things anyway. So the ideology that I'm just going to be frying everything that I eat is just not true. I grill everything anyway because not just because it's healthier, but because my body won't tolerate fried foods. So there's so much misinformation out there with regards to keto, and I think it scares people away.
I completely agree. And I think a lot of times if people are getting their information from their family doctor who has, number one, never been educated on it in medical school,
right,
and number two, has never read the true and verifiable research about long-term efficacy of any of these diets, that you certainly are going to get information like that. And to your point with the cholesterol works in the body like brick mortar. So the reason that your cholesterol is high is because your body feels like it has to patch up damage and holes, right? And the damage and holes is really caused by inflammation. So when you see high levels of cholesterol, somebody has an inflammation problem in their body, not a cholesterol problem. And that's why, to your point and to everybody else who's been on a good ketogenic diet, that those people are the ones that actually normalize their cholesterol. And that's not an unfamiliar story.
No. Now, the other thing that kind of interests me, from my own perspective, like a lot of people, I had a couple of days off keto for Christmas Day and the day after. And I'm actually wishing now that I didn't because I think what happens is you tend to take those couple of days off and you eat what you want to eat, and then you end up with the toxins in your body again, and then you've got to get yourself back into ketosis, which can take 7 to 10 days, so I'm told. So I kind of regret going off. I wish I'd just had my Christmas lunch without the potatoes. And just supplemented it with something else rather than saying, oh well, I will treat myself. I mean, I'm back into the groove now, thankfully. But do you think that there's a lot of myth about that you can kind of go in and out of it with that level of frequency?
So the research, my concern about long-term ketosis. Now, this is specifically ketosis, not following the ketogenic diet.
Right.
So you can follow the ketogenic diet, which is basically meat and vegetables, and not get into ketosis and still lose weight. Okay.
Right.
Or you can do the ketogenic diet and actually get what's called fat adapted and burn ketones, show ketones in your blood and your urine to give the evidence that you're burning fat.
Right.
So now when I do the ketogenic diet, that's what I do. I aim for ketosis. So I believe, and the research I've seen is I don't generally recommend that you stay in ketosis for more than 30 to 60 days.
Really?
So I really believe it's more of a carbohydrate cycling. There's some evidence that shows that long-term ketosis can actually cause some carbohydrate sensitivity. And if you ever decide to go off the ketogenic diet, it's something that can really create problems, especially in people that are diabetics that are already insulin sensitive. So that's somebody who's actively looking for ketosis, not necessarily the ketogenic diet.
Right.
But I did what you did. I went off the ketogenic diet for the week between Christmas and New Year's. I'm not going to lie. I ate pie for breakfast. And New Year's Eve,
Ditto.
we always have the same meal. Yeah, we always have the same meal, which is basically keto. I make king crab, I make a roast, and I make 2 vegetables.
Right.
So this year we had asparagus and a salad. So it's always, you know what I mean? Like it's always just kind of how we get back into it. So that morning, my husband and I got out of bed. We were both so achy because of all the junk we had eaten for the week that we kind of said the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we never should have done that. It was kind of a rough week. For me, I got back into ketosis pretty quickly. For him, it took him about 3 days. So, because everybody's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a few days, like nearly a week, to get back into ketosis. But the reason I've not gone kind of headlong into the science of it. I just know that if I follow this diet, I'm feeling better and I'm losing weight. And I think for a layperson, that's kind of all I need to know. And I will know when I get to the point where I've lost enough weight that maybe I need to change my diet again. But basically, this diet is when I've been on diets before, the theory has been, chicken or meat or fish and vegetables. So it's not dissimilar to that. And I guess because I've got into a good routine, that is adding to why I'm losing the weight.
Correct. I completely agree. And like I said, you don't have to be in active ketosis, spilling ketones in your urine or your blood
Right.
to lose weight.
No.
Simply by eating less calories than you're expending or making better choices than you have in the past can certainly lead to successful weight loss in the presence or absence of ketosis. So
Right.
You are absolutely right. And I think, and like you said at the beginning, which I totally want to revalidate, is everybody has to find their own way. You know what I mean? Like you just have to figure out what's going to work for you.
Right.
Like when I very first tried keto, I was doing a ton of dairy, and I don't eat a lot of dairy. And I was feeling so sick and logy. I wasn't losing any weight. It didn't really make me feel good at all. And so I was like, forget it. This diet's never going to work for me.
Absolutely.
So 6 months later, when I went back to it, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to do all of this dairy. And so now when I do keto, I do very, very little dairy. I put a little cream in my coffee, and I put a little Romano cheese on my ground beef. And that's, really about it.
Exactly. Because one of my biggest vices is cheese, but I can't even eat full fat cheese because it doesn't agree with me. So I eat half fat cheese, and the so-called professionals are saying, "Oh no, you must eat full fat cheese." Well, if I eat full fat cheese, I get a reaction to it. So why would I? So it just highlights for me that you do find your own way with this diet. I want to ask you, Dr. Kendra, why are the medical community so afraid of keto? Do you think it's because they don't want people to come off medication? What do you feel it is?
I feel it's a bunch of things. I think, general medical advice rejects the unfamiliar, period, end of story.
Right.
They like everything to be, founded in these, magical double-blind placebo-controlled studies that are, performed by these organizations that are funding said double-blind information that's being passed along. So I think, the fact that it's unfamiliar, it's not being studied in their circles, it's something that they'll reject because it's unfamiliar.
Right.
I also think it's probably not a great business model, because I have several patients that have lost over 100 pounds on keto, and they have all come off their diabetes medication. One came off her thyroid medication. So it is a very, very probable case that you will dump the lion's share of your medication.
Yeah.
I had one woman who was chronically ill who basically painted the picture like she had lupus, but never really got the sound diagnosis. Well, they took her off she lost over 150 pounds. And as her weight was coming down, she, of course, was losing the diabetes medication and the anti-inflammatories. And she lost all the medication she was taking for the lupus because all of her pain went away when she dropped the weight.
So at what point, because obviously I would never recommend to anybody to do anything without consulting the doctor, but I went against medical advice to go on keto, and obviously it's saving my life. But if someone is diabetic, type 2, and they get to the point where they're no longer diabetic, how much longer should they stay on diabetic medication? Because we know that that's not good for you either.
Right, and I think that varies from case to case, largely based on, insulin receptor sensitivity, which is both, genetic and environmental, and can have some bearing on how the medication is working for that individual. So I think in many cases, you have to, whoever prescribed those medications for you is the one that has to take you off of them. But once the numbers come down, as a general rule, what the common recommendation is once those numbers come down into a normal range, most physicians are pretty adept and willing to, start removing some of those medications,
right,
or at least reducing the doses. So how long? I think probably ideal body weight or pretty close, pretty, normal, hemoglobin A1C and blood sugar, blood glucose levels and things like that, probably for a decent amount of time. I would say, my guess would be somewhere around 3 to 6 months on the average, maybe. But again, every patient's really different. So, and the other thing is too, is you're right. Like, I think a lot of patients are really sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And,
exactly.
We're not taking their advice of their physicians because the advice is terrible. And so people are really looking to kind of find their own way. My first recommendation in most cases is always just eat more vegetables. If you can eat more vegetables and replace the vegetables with anything that you were eating before, starches or sugar or cookies or processed food or whatever, that's always a good start.
Don't mention the C word.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can start looking at, something that's a little bit more specific and structured as a diet plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had some cake over Christmas, so I'm fine for a while. But we do have to leave it there. I could speak to you longer, but tell people where they can find you, Dr. Kendra, and where they can find out about your books, etc.
Sure. You can head to my website, which is drkendrabecker.com. I'm also on Instagram, drkendrabecker.com. And I am on Facebook, drkendrabecker.com or Dr. Kendra Becker. So my book is available in any large bookstore. I think it was translated into Hebrew this year. I was
wow.
so excited. And it's also available on my website.
Wonderful. Listen, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Kendra Becker. All of Dr. Kendra's information is available on the Xander Gibb show page today, on the dreaded Facebook. I hope you'll come back and join us again very soon. Thank you so much, Dr. Kendra Becker.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, Xander.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks a lot. That was Dr. Kendra Becker. Go and check her out at drkendrabecker.com. Apologies to all of those who are trying to watch this on Facebook. They wouldn't let us go live on Facebook today. I don't know what we've done wrong. Maybe I forgot an apostrophe or a full stop or something like that, but we will be looking into it. My next guest, who should be calling in any second, he's Bobby Jeffries, and he declared his intention to run as a Republican for Congress in District 10 in Hershey, Pennsylvania on July 23rd. Now, the district is a top target for the Democratic congressional campaign committee, and they have been recruiting young and fresh faces across America. He's going to join us very soon. Should be calling us any second now. Once again, apologies for those of you that couldn't watch on Facebook, but Facebook is to blame as they wouldn't let us broadcast tonight. And why wouldn't they let us broadcast? Because Facebook are fascists. Oh, yes, sirree. They are indeed. So we're just waiting for Bobby to call us. We will try and take some of your calls at the end of the show. If we have some time for that, feel free to call us. Oh, yes, sirree. We're just waiting for Bobby to call, who is a Republican candidate for District 23 District 10. Don't know where I got District 23 from. In Hershey, Pennsylvania. So we're just waiting for him to call. Usually at this point, we'd be able to have a chat and talk to those that are in the live feed, but we can't do that today. But hello to everyone that's listening. I know Susan, one of our producers, is listening. Dave, Chet, welcome. I hope that you are all good. And I want to wish you all a very happy new year. And I want to thank you all for the level of support you have given to myself and the show. And those of us that are in this little collective that actually support Donald Trump, not for profit, not selling his name, but actually supporting the President of the United States. And I have much to say about President Trump's actions of late that are in support. And I don't want to start to go into them now because we are waiting for Bobby to call us. Should be calling us any second now. Are you there, Bobby? Give us a call. 845-363-4747 if you are scrambling for the number. Bobby, give us a call. It was very interesting talking to Dr. Kendra Becker about the keto diet, because as you know, I've been on the diet for 5 months now and lost nearly 50 pounds. So I'm hoping that I'm going to continue to lose the weight on it and also to feel better. And it's interesting that when you do kind of come off the keto diet for a period of time, what tends to happen is that you seem to absorb more of the toxins than you would usually, with regards to, it's actually saying that I'm offline. So I don't know why that is. You tend to absorb more of the toxins, or certainly feel like you absorb more of the toxins when you're off the keto diet for a period of time. We are just waiting for Bobby Jeffries to call. He should call us any second now. He is late, but we won't give him a tardy slip as long as he calls in very soon. So if you're scrambling for that number, Bobby, it's 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. What have you found interesting this week? I know that the Iran situation has been very interesting to me from a perspective of that I support President Trump's actions. I will take a little bit more time to talk about that at the end after Bobby has been on. I know that a lot of people, well, I say a lot of dumb Democrats in the United States are basically condemning the president for his action in killing the guy whose name's unpronounceable. But certainly don't condemn him in any way, shape, or form. What about you? Tell us in the tell us on Facebook. Tell us under the ad for the show today, and we will share your thoughts about that. I'm guessing that most of you are in agreement with me. We're just waiting for Bobby Jeffries to call in. As I said, let us know what you think about the Iran affair. It's been a very interesting day seeing how idiotic liberals are with regards to this situation. As I said, we're just waiting for Bobby to call. This should be him now. Welcome to the show, Bobby Jeffries. How is the world with you, sir? Hello?
Hey, Xander. How you doing? It's Bobby Jeffries.
Hi there. Welcome to the show. How is the world with you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. It's fantastic. Just having a good Friday over here on the campaign trail.
Absolutely. How is the campaign trail going? I am wonderful. I'm over the other side of the pond. I'm in the UK, and it's freezing cold here. And I'm guessing you're getting some similar weather over there in Pennsylvania.
Oh, hey, it's freezing cold over here, too. Oh, my gosh, I'll tell you. I had 2 coats on today. I probably should have worn a third. For some reason, it is just freezing today. So you guys over on the other side of the pond, I'm sure it's pretty cold over there, too.
It really is. And so much for global warming.
Oh, I know, right?
I would give anything for a little bit of that today. So I want to jump right in. I want to ask you a little bit about your platform. I know that you're a Republican, and from what I can glean, like myself, you're a Trump supporter. But what issues are the main things that you're campaigning on?
Well, listen, we want to protect, here in the United States, we want to protect our First Amendment right to free speech. We want to be able to say whatever we want as Americans, even if it's unpopular. Obviously, our country was founded on unpopular speech. Obviously, all of the patriots, all of the founding fathers who founded the United States, everything they were saying was not obviously popular speech. So yes, here in 2020, in this new decade, we want to protect our free speech, but obviously we want to protect our Second Amendment rights vigorously, because obviously the Democratic Party and the left is trying to take them away. So that's number one. Number two, we want to defend our freedom against socialism, because the left and the Democratic Party is obviously, they have this whole thing where socialism is new and it's trendy and it's wonderful, and the Democratic Party is trying to save you. And in reality, I believe in what John F. Kennedy said: freedom is the road to progress. Freedom is still the road to progress. That's what we have to ensure that young people, not even just in the United States, but all over the world, because we see it all over the place. Socialism is destroying all of these countries it has throughout, so many, years in history, and the Democrats are trying to play it like it's this, trendy, wonderful thing. No, it's terrible, and it destroys countries, and it destroys families, it destroys people's lives.
Absolutely, because I can't think of one place that it's worked. Can you?
No, absolutely not.
The Democrats will have you believe that socialism has worked in all of these wonderful places, but can't name one of them.
No, it's miserable every single time. You look at China, you look what's going on in China, you look Venezuela, you look Soviet Union, obviously. Soviet Union, obviously, no way. Lenin, Stalin, Karl Marx, those are the pillars of the Democratic Party right now. What I like to say, and what's really true of the Democratic Party, is it's no longer the party of Jefferson. It's no longer the party of FDR. It's no longer the party of JFK. It's the party of Lenin, Stalin, and Karl Marx. And they're using young people with energy to articulate these lies to young Americans, and that they're falling for the energy. They're not falling for the message. If these people knew the facts, if they knew the truth, which is what we're trying to do in this obviously resurgent Republican Party that has come full circle under Donald J. Trump, obviously. But, the party of Lincoln is back. We're the party of progress, and that's what we're going to ensure that that's going to, keep going through this next decade. Obviously, we're in this next decade now, the 2020s. So that's what we have to ensure. But obviously, going back to those Ds, defend Donald J. Trump, which is number 3, because he needs allies in the Congress who are going to speak truth to power and fight on the front lines for freedom with him in D.C. And that's why
Amen.
my campaign is working so hard, day in and day out, so we can get on those front lines of battle in Congress, in this information war.
Absolutely. And talking of lines of battle, as I'm sure you're aware, that Iran attacked the American embassy, and as a result of that, Donald Trump hit back without consulting Congress. What is your immediate reaction to that?
Well, Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief of our country's armed forces, of the United States Armed Forces. He can do whatever he sees fit. That is his job. That is why the American people elected him to the presidency. I have complete faith in Trump. He has been a breath of fresh air in that role since he has come into his office of the presidency. He is, as soon as he became president, I could go to sleep every night knowing that the brave men and women who are putting themselves in harm's way for our freedom, day in and day out all over the world, I go to sleep every night knowing that we have a competent commander-in-chief who has their best interests and the interests of all of the American people and the country itself, at heart.
Absolutely, because this wasn't going to be Benghazi Part 2, was it? Let's face it.
Absolutely not.
We have a president in the United States that doesn't turn his back on American citizens and let them be slaughtered by the local natives. You mess with America, you mess with us. Under Donald Trump, we respond appropriately, and I'm flabbergasted by the number of Democrats today that have come and criticized him and defended Iran. What does that tell you about Democrats of today, where they care more about the citizens of Iran and the people that the Iranians worship than they do American citizens?
Well, I'll tell you, I was flabbergasted as well. It just looks like the Democratic Party continues to push away the cares, the wants, the needs, and the best interests of the American citizens, the voters, the working class of America that the Democrats have turned their back on. They care about illegal immigrants. Obviously, they care about, these countries like Iran, who are obviously have great links to terrorism and violence and, violent activity, anti-Israel, obviously anti-United States. These are bad guys. You shouldn't be feeling bad for the bad guys, but basically that's all the Democrats have nowadays.
Absolutely, because they have no policies, no leadership, nothing to actually give to America that's beneficial to America.
Stuff that will never actually come.
Repeat that?
No, I'm sorry. They just promise free stuff that will never actually come.
Absolutely, but I think it's even beyond that. They've got nothing over and above just disagreeing with Donald Trump and trying to get him out of office. How anti-American is it to try and impeach a president for highlighting the dishonesty of a Democrat? Where have we come to?
I believe that in this new decade, we've finally come full circle. You look at, and I totally agree with everything you're saying, but you look at all these Democrats that are seeing the light. They're seeing that this pro-jobs agenda, this economy that is now roaring back, they see that America is back and open for business under Trump. We have Democrats in the Congress that are now changing their party affiliation because the Democratic Party has just turned to pure evil and socialism.
Right.
These godless socialists. People are seeing. People are starting to connect. It's like, oh my gosh, these don't represent my values. You look at that the congressman that just went from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. That's because the big tent under Donald Trump. This is America. This is Americana. This is us keeping our country great and moving our country to the next level. These Democrats don't want that. these career politicians, they just want to get, they just run for office. They want to lie during campaign season, and then they want to say they're going to do all this stuff, and they're never going to do it. And then they just want to get back into office, and then they'll make up another excuse, and then they'll run again, and then they'll make another excuse. I mean, this is just career politician. That's why we have to drain the swamp in Washington, and that's why so many people are running for Congress. Not even just myself, but all over this country. In the state of Florida, in the state of California, state of Texas, state of Virginia. So many young Republicans who have traditional conservative Christian American values, who believe in our flag and who believe in the infinite potential of America. We are running for office to create a new foundation of leadership in the United States, in the Congress, to help this president and ultimately, move this country forward, because that is the only way we're going to move forward.
I mean, I find it astounding that, some Democrats even want to take away people's guns, even though we have the Second Amendment. No state law can override the Constitution, but Democrats will tell you that this is a possibility. Now, I obviously don't need to ask you where you stand on gun control, but how does it make you feel when Democrats are trying to pervert the not only the Second Amendment but the Constitution?
Well, I'm sure as you feel as well. It makes me sick. It makes me want to vomit, because all of that is there to protect us as American citizens, as God-fearing human beings. These things are put in place to protect us, and these Democrats obviously want to take them away so they can have more control over their lives, and that's what they would have. They would have us turn all of our guns in all 50 states, and then just have us be answering to government, going down to the neighborhood place and picking up something from government. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be self-sustaining. We're supposed to protect ourselves. We're supposed to say, hey, government, this is us. This is what we're doing. We're entrepreneurs. We're businessmen. We're out in the world making moves. We're building things. We're furthering our education. Those are things that the Democrats don't want to hear. They don't want self-sufficient American citizens, which is what our founders and frankly what the Lord intended us to be.
Of course, because they've actually created this legion of liberals that want to sit on their backsides and be paid for doing nothing. I understand some people can't work, but to create and to continue to support this system where people are freeloaders and they don't contribute anything to society, this entitled generation that we have, obviously not all of them, this is part, as far as I'm concerned, of the liberalization of the planet.
Yes. I would argue as well. I totally agree with you. I would argue as well that the millennial generation as a whole is not entirely totally taken over by socialism. I think that many Americans just don't have leadership that's equal to the times. You look at the United States Congress, all of these career politicians that have stayed in there for 30, 40, 50 years. We have that on both sides of the aisle, and I think the young people are just disenfranchised by their government, especially on the Democratic side, and that's why they're flocking to these leaders like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and all these people who promise all this stuff and they really rarely deliver.
Absolutely.
I think that's why it's so good on this side that the Republican Party is putting up these young and vigorous leaders running for office all over the country at the federal level. I think that only needs to continue, because most of us have been completely just inspired by Trump, that anybody can run. If you love your country, if you believe in the infinite potential of this country, that we can fix the damage that has been done in politics over the past 30 years of leadership, failed leadership.
Absolutely.
But,
I totally agree with you about term limits, but I would even go one further than that. I would want to legislate, whereas in every year we actually check anyone that's paid by the government as a representative or a senator to see what they've actually done based upon the promises that they made, because there is no accountability anymore with public servants,
Not at
and
all.
there needs to be.
You're
because
right.
because if
Absolutely.
if anyone is afraid of that, why are they even in the job?
Yep, absolutely. And you're right. And I would totally be fine with that. Like somebody like me, I'm running against an incumbent Republican Congressman, Rhino Neocon, who has not supported our president until it was politically expedient to do so, and still he's really not, because he voted to condemn him on a critical vote with Syria. And the endless wars that our country is sick of. Like, we want to protect our country, but we don't want these endless wars that are destroying our interests around
Absolutely.
the world for the American worker and for the American people. Trump is the first American people's president. These Republicans that continue to play in the theater of the 90s and the 2000s, I believe, are not going to have a future in politics in this new decade that we've just moved into, because people are tired of these bureaucratic, cigar smoky backroom deals. They want real people who are going to speak truth to power, like our president. And I believe that that's what's sprouting up in all of the states in our union. So
Thankfully.
it's going to be exciting.
Thankfully so. We've come to the end of our time together, Bobby. Tell people where they can find out more, and also donate to your campaign.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Our website is bobby4pa.com, BOBBYFORPA.com. And anyone can make a donation of any amount at our website. Any and all contributions are greatly appreciated. And you can find me on Twitter. It's at Bobby4PA as well. I'm sorry, it's at Bobby Jeffries PA. Excuse me.
Absolutely. All of Bobby's contact information is on the the Xander Gibb show page for today. So please go and show him your support. Go and follow him on social media, whether you live in his state or not. We have to support Republicans in other states that are working with the ideology of Donald Trump. It's imperative that we do so. Listen, Bobby, thank you so much. I hope you come back and join us again before the election and in the run-up to the election, so we can talk some more.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks so much. It's great to be with you. God bless everybody. You have such a great viewership. Everybody who watches this show, I just want to say God bless everybody, and thanks for hearing us out.
Absolutely. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks a lot. That was Bobby Jeffries. Make sure you go and check him out. He is a Republican candidate. I can't speak tonight. For Senate. Make sure you go and check him out. All of his contact information is on the XRED show page for tonight. I'm just going to do my soapbox because I have a lot to say. And I have a lot to say about Facebook too, but we'll leave that for another time. And then we'll take a couple of calls before we end the show. So 2020 is here, a new year and a new decade with promise and prospects for all. And this is the time of year when people start setting resolutions regarding diet and health and all manner of things. Now, I, for one, made none, as I didn't need a new year to make my resolve. My health problems dictated mine for me, and I had to take drastic action in 2019. I honestly thought that, having tried every diet known to man, that losing weight and keeping it off was an impossibility for me. This was until I heard about the keto diet, which you heard me speak to Dr. Kendra about, which in essence is a low carb and forces your body to use its own fat as fuel. Now to date, nearly 5 months in, I've lost nearly 50 pounds, and I'm 1 point away from no longer being diabetic. Thank you, Lord. It has been a trek for me, and I have a long way to go, but I feel like I can finally do this and become fitter and healthier, which will assist me to tolerate my other conditions better too. Now, politically, this side of the pond, we've got a new prime minister who is a conservative, maybe not a conservative by U.S. standards, or maybe by you and I's standards, but I will take that over a Marxist with socialist ideologies and desires to turn the United Kingdom into a socialist hellhole. I'm keeping my eyes on Boris, and we'll see how he shapes up. And on the other side of the pond, my president, Donald Trump, continues to kick ass. Yes, I said the word ass because it's most appropriate in this situation, while putting Americans first. Now, the fake impeachment has made the Democrats even more of a laughingstock, and every time Nancy Pelosi opens her drunken mouth, donations for the Donald increase exponentially. And at the direction of the president, the U.S. took military decisive defensive action to protect personnel abroad by killing Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. No wishy-washy ignorance, as with Obama and Clinton, leaving our people to be slaughtered in Benghazi. Decisive action was taken, and in my book, that is exactly what was needed. And Donald J. Trump is the best asset we have right now in the war on terror. The Democrats will sell you down the river and have you head to toe in black before you could say the word Jack Robinson. Iran needs to back off and learn from their mistakes. And I'm thankful that for a president with balls, yes, I said balls, and more concerned about Americans than the opinions of the rest of the world, like a certain Barack Hussein Obama. Why beg Congress for permission to prevent further loss of American lives? They have proven they cannot be trusted. Now, this should show all doubters that the Donald is not to be messed with. And if the Democrats' support of terrorists isn't enough, they now want to take your guns. With the Second Amendment, no state or party has the right to take away your guns. Oh, no. So actress Rose McGowan today tweeted, "Dear Iran, the U.S. has disrespected your country, your flag, your people. 52% of us humbly apologize. We want peace with your nation. We are being held hostage by a terrorist regime." Wait, I thought the Democrats lost. "We do not know how to escape. Please do not kill us. Soleimani." Now, Rose McGowan, this is a special message just to you. Get a freaking grip. Iran attacks the U.S. embassy and she backs them. They don't want peace with us. She just showed us her true colors. And the only terrorist regime in the United States is the Democrats, because they hate America, and so does she. Thank you, Donald Trump, for putting us first. Wake up, America, and stop the Democrats destroying our country. They did this in the UK, and the liberals in leadership are now a minority. Thank God. So many Democrats are leaving the plantation and remembering they are not like the scarecrow. We do have brains. We can only hope that the process will speed up and that President Trump will be reelected in a landslide victory. May God bless America and President Trump. And hey, you know who stopped smoking today? You don't know? Qasem Soleimani. That was my soapbox for this week. If you want to get on your soapbox, go to xandergibb.com/contact. That's xandergibb.com/contact. And tell us what you'd like to get on your soapbox about. We got time for a couple of calls before we go, as the show is in reverse order this week. You can call us now, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747 to get your point across. Tell us what is bothering you. Tell us what you're thinking. Call us now, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Let's see if we can get at least one call before we go. Call us now. Oh, yes, 845-363-4747. Got time for one or two calls. Give us a call. I really had to get my say in about... Here we go. Hello, Mr. Chet. Welcome back to the show. How is the world with you? Happy New Year. And I can guess what you're calling about.
Thank you very much. I'm watching the show as we speak.
Thank you. So, what's your beef? Tell us what you're calling about, as if I didn't know.
Well, I heard you talking about Rose McGowan, and it kind of encompasses the way the Democrats think. They're always siding with our enemy. And she's a good example because Rose McGowan, as far as I know, Xander, is a self-proclaimed feminist.
Right.
Now, she's a feminist. Why the hell would she ever think of even backing Iran?
I can't answer that because let's face it, if she lived in Iran, she wouldn't be able to have half of the opinions that she got. She'd be dressed head to toe in black, and she would be told to shut her pie hole.
That's exactly right. And what the media isn't showing you right now, Rose, is the citizens in Iran who have been getting tortured by this regime for so long with the Khomeini are actually celebrating and cheering Donald Trump's name. They won't show you it on CNN, Rose, but it is happening. And the fact of the matter is, it's interesting, Xander, that the citizens in Iran that have been treated this way for so long, going back to the days of Jimmy Carter, are cheering this move by Donald Trump and his administration, but the Democrats aren't. It's really sickening to see Adam Schiff up on CNN and Nancy Pelosi crying that Donald Trump didn't alert them to this strategic military action. And Xander, he does not have to alert them of this attack.
No, of course not, because he has special powers, not as in he's Superman, but he has, as a president of the United States, he has powers that he can exact what he can do, what he sees fit to do without going to Congress. And do you know what? This kind of reminds me a little bit of Benghazi. Now, if you take Benghazi as opposed to what happened at the American embassy in Iraq, if you look at those two things together, and the outcomes, because that's what we're always looking at, how many dead Americans were there from this?
Well, that's true, and it's a good standard that Trump set here, because now they know you can't push them around.
Right.
When Benghazi happened, we all know when we were following the story of Benghazi, it was Barack Obama's administration that waited 13 hours to tell anyone that they could even go into that embassy, which I think 4 to 5 Americans, correct me if I'm wrong, died. And one of them was the ambassador and the other SEALs.
Yeah.
That was an embarrassment. And we're setting a new precedent with this Trump administration that shows our enemies that we're not going to be bullied anymore.
Absolutely, but don't you think the part of the problem under Barack Obama that everyone from all these other countries knew what a pussy he was, and it made America a pushover during that period. Donald Trump, I said this in my soapbox, Donald Trump has balls, and I'm glad that he has balls and won't be pushed around, because what that actually equates to is a safer America.
When Obama was elected, I didn't know enough about Obama to really slam him like I do right now, but I did. The thing that set me back with Obama and made me question him was immediately he went on an apology tour, and he kissed the rings of all the leaders from Saudi Arabia, Iran. He even referred to the Iranian leader as I forgot what the terminology, I think the great leader or whatever it is for the Iranian dictator. And the guy obviously was sympathetic towards our enemies. That was the biggest problem with Obama. He was actually playing for the other team. He was was playing with our enemy.
In more ways than one, he was playing for the other team, but that's a segment for another show. But you know what? The thing that angers me the most today with all of this, whatever Donald Trump does, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If everyone had died in that embassy, he would have been bad for that. So he just can't win. I noticed when I watched the news tonight while I was getting ready for the show, and the British news failed to mention the attack on the American embassy. And all it wants to do is talk about, the level of response from Donald Trump. And but this is an act of war. If killing that asshole is an act of war, what was attacking the American embassy? We're a sovereign nation.
Exactly.
You cannot attack a sovereign nation and not expect there to be some comeback, surely.
And Xander, that's a great point you make, because through watching television all today, they were talking about this, but they weren't talking about what started it, right? On
Right.
CNN or MSNBC or ABC, they're making it look like Donald Trump just went out to kill this guy for no apparent reason at all. It was Iran that started this whole thing.
Yeah.
They've been chanting death to America for 40 plus years. Finally, we have a president that actually backs us.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell did they want us to do? Send him pallets of cash in American bills like Barack Obama did? No. No freaking way. That is not what America is about now. You know, that's the level of response the Democrats expect. Because if they don't get that level of response, bowing to terrorists, then they're not happy. But you know what? I'm here to tell the Democrats that this is not the way it is going to be. And you can continue to criticize Donald Trump. But I'll tell you what, there are probably more Americans sleeping comfortably in their beds tonight because of what he did than those that are not.
I agree with you 100%. We're going to back this president no matter what because he's fighting for us. We have to fight for him, regardless of the fact that social media tries to quell our voices. We're going to get him reelected. It's going to be tougher this time. A lot more people need to get involved and back each other, by the way.
Yeah.
We have to have each other's back.
But I think, you know, it's an interesting thing because I was talking to Susan Miller, who's probably listening right now. I was talking to her and we were talking about how the Trump movement is not as cohesive as it could be. We do all need to come together. And there are some out there that are only kind of out to support Trump to feather their own nest. And we need to be more cohesive as a group and support one another to support Trump, because that's not really happening as much as it possibly could.
That's a problem that conservatives have had for a very long time. It's one thing that we've always said about Democrats, and I know you've heard this before. As screwed up as they are, they're cohesive.
Yeah.
They back each other. And that's one thing that we're not able to do. I think we've bridged a little bit with Donald Trump where you're right. There are some people that back him that we know from the start didn't back him, and now they're doing it to get looks and likes and whatever else they may be looking for. But we do have to look for the genuine supporters and support them. We support each other, therefore they support the president, and that's how you get him reelected.
Yeah.
And we just have to keep on doing it. They're going to try to sabotage this thing, Xander. You know it and I know it.
Oh, of course. I couldn't even broadcast on Facebook tonight because Facebook have banned me for a picture I had on of Tommy Robinson from 3 years ago, for a post from 3 years ago. I mean, get a freaking grip, Facebook. Am I that much of a threat? You know, they sent me a thing to say it was because he was a dangerous person. So is what I'm doing out there on the Xander Gibb show so much of a threat to liberals that they want to stop me broadcasting? Well, that's why I just thought, hell, you know what? I'll just continue with the broadcast and do it on the other places that I broadcast. But ultimately, and this is why they keep banning you too, because you're a threat. You're clearly a threat. Check the threat.
Absolutely.
There you go.
We talk about your voice and my voice and some other voices out there that we know of. It may seem like a little drop in the bucket, but when you start to tally up these numbers of people that they're shadow banning and taking off their platform, it becomes in the millions of people that are getting harassed by Facebook and Twitter, all the other social media conglomerates that are trying to quell our voice so this man loses in 2020.
Yeah.
And we do need to pay attention to that.
We do. But don't you think, do you remember all that stuff that Donald Trump was doing? I don't know if it was this year or last year, but was asking for examples of how those of us that have been treated badly by social media, he wanted examples of that. And I've seen nothing come of it. You know, the problem is, and I mean this with the greatest of respect to Donald Trump, because I back him 200%. But, you know, we've discussed this too, that the social media element of the Trump train was a huge part of why he got elected. And if that is not possible this time because they're banning all of us for stupid reasons, then I worry that might affect the outcome of the election.
and he still uses Twitter every day, and he still gets his message out with Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So you think that he'd want to, protect us, and I think he does, but I don't know. Maybe there's just too many things going on in that man's mind. He's constantly under attack by the media.
Absolutely. That's not a criticism of him, Chet, because I, as I said, I support him. But I do worry that this will affect, the outcome of the election. And ultimately, people have said to me, oh, well, why do you do it? I get a lot of hassle for doing the show, and I know you do too. But, I'm not going to just stop doing it and say, boo-hoo, woe is me. I think that shows like yours and mine are integral to fair and honest media, because the mainstream media, the lamestream media, are not reporting what is going on fairly and correctly. And if we weren't there, who else would be doing it?
I've always said if I can change one person's mind, Xander, and make them come over to the conservative side, then it's all worth it.
Yeah.
It really is, because one mind, one decision affects everybody else that's around that individual. That's true.
It is. It absolutely is. So tell us, who have you got on your show this weekend? I'm going to start billing you as Chet the Threat now.
Well, we have, I know you know Dan Newmeyer. He had his show
I do.
on WJJF, and he's been doing something on the AM station over there. Of course, it's aligned with politics and President Trump, so we're going to have him stopping by. And I don't have the other guest's name in front of me, so please excuse me for that one. But it's an author. It's somebody actually that's good friends with President Trump. He was over in Mar-a-Lago. And I'm sorry I don't have the name for me. I wasn't prepared.
Well, I'm sorry for catching you on the hop, but if you go to freedomondeck.com, you'll be able to see everything about the show, and make sure you follow them on Facebook. And I'm often on there too, so you can catch me there from time to time. But listen, Happy New Year to you. It was great to catch up with you. I know you'll be back on with us for a segment very soon. So thank you very much, Chet the Threat from Freedom on Deck.
Keep doing it, Xander. Keep up the good fight.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks a lot.
God bless.
Take care. You too. That was Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck. Make sure you go and check out his show. That is it from me. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Friday, God willing, 3 Pacific, 5 Central, 6 Eastern, and 11 in the UK, with the original Yorkshire Pud, actor Nigel Bradshaw from Prison Cell Block H. If you watch Prison Cell Block H, you'll know what that means. And fashion designer and political candidate Ola Hawatma. Stay safe and stay warm. I'm so sorry about the technical issues today. We will be sorted out for next time, Facebook willing. I really do love you all. Bye-bye. It has been good to me this time around. Things were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact, and I can find no ribs. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and era don't dictate. Click the bell button and subscribe to keep up with the Xander Gibb Show. Oh yes, sirree.